Well, Jim, first of all, 4-0 win against Arbroath last time out. Just, how do you reflect on that one?
Yeah, really positive performance as far as we're concerned. Started the game on the front foot. Got that early goal, which is really important, and settled everybody down. And then 4-0 is a great scoreline when you look at it, but after the game we were quite critical of ourselves because we felt that we could have scored another 3 or 4 goals. No disrespect to Arbroath, but we missed 3 really good opportunities in the first half from 1v1 situations that we would expect to be a bit more clinical in those situations. But a really positive follow-up from a very good performance down in Greenock midweek. It's been a difficult couple of weeks given the volume of games that we've had to get through, with 5 games in 2 weeks, but we've came through it pretty much unscathed in terms of player availability and a really good points return in the last week in particular. 2 very difficult away games with Partick and Morton, and then followed up by a potential banana skin against Arbroath, who were coming into the game high on confidence after their very good result and performance against Wraith Rovers the week before.
And obviously Dunfermline next up, and just what's your thoughts ahead of that game on Friday?
Well, in the 3 league fixtures that we've had this season so far, they've all been very tight games. There's been a couple of draws in there, and we beat them away from home the last time round. So we're expecting another very challenging fixture. But we are going into the game with a lot of confidence, a bit of momentum now behind us as well. Dunfermline are going through a little bit of a difficult period, and we've just got to focus on ourselves, make sure that we turn up in the right mindset, approach the game in a positive manner, and hopefully come away with all maximum points.
And just to talk about one of your players, Miller Thompson, obviously spent the start of the season out on loan at Montrose. He's come into the team now and played in a couple of different positions out wide and at right back. What have you made of him in the team so far?
Well, we're delighted with him. In the last 3 or 4 games that he's played, he's a manager's dream as far as I'm concerned in terms of the different positions that he can play in the team. I'm pretty comfortable in playing him in any area, and I know that he would do an exceptional job. I see him long term as a right back. I think he's got all the attributes needed for a modern day fullback. He's got great pace, great energy, does very well in 1v1 defensive situations, but can also carry you up the park with that athleticism that he's got. He's got real quality in the final third as well. And yeah, he's one that we're very, very pleased with. We're not putting too much pressure on him. I think it's important to remind ourselves that he is only 19. He had a brilliant loan period at Montrose, and we're very grateful to the guys at Montrose for giving Miller the opportunity. He gained some valuable experience playing senior football, and he's grew in confidence, and since he's came back into our group, he's been really knocking on the door week after week with his performances in training, and that's why we've given him the opportunity. You never know with these young players how they're going to adapt to it. Sometimes they can be phased by the situation, but Miller, with the belief and the confidence that he's got in his own ability, has really stepped up and deserves his place in the team.
And just in terms of the way you like to set your team up and play, having a player that can you can change him in the game, but from playing it right back, what benefit does that give you in terms of the kind of attacking impetus that he has, and in terms of how you set your team up with a kind of more attacking player in that position?
Yeah, I must mention, Liam Grimshaw is very unlucky to find himself out of the team at the moment. Not necessarily anything to do with performance related, just purely a tactical decision given the amount of possession that we've had in recent games. Trying to rotate the squad as best we could to make sure that we had that freshness in those 5 games in the fortnight. Very difficult to go at the same starting 11 game after game, so we had to try and get through that difficult period, limiting ourselves in terms of injuries, which I'm pleased to say we have done. But Miller really gave us something to think about, mainly on the attacking front. We brought Liam Grimshaw back into the game down at Greenock because we know how Morton like to play. They get the ball forward early and you're going to have to defend your box, and that is an area that Miller needs to improve on, and physically with his development over the next 12 to 18 months that will come. But he holds his place down in the team right now because of his performances. He knows that he has to stay consistent, He's not going to take anything for granted. We're working hard with him on the training pitch. Dave Bowman in particular, there's a lot of match day analysis with him, looking back on his clips and trying to help him with learning that particular position. But at the moment, we're delighted with him. But as I said, we're not going to put too much pressure on him. We know that those inconsistencies can be there with young players, but he knows I believe in him, and hopefully that will give him confidence.
And earlier on you already mentioned that hectic schedule that you've had to go through, and how pleased are you the fact the team's come out the other end and still a very strong position in the league and some good results as well?
Yeah, I mean, we're exactly where we want to be at this point in the season. We've had a really good points return in the last week, 2 difficult away games obviously, and then followed both those games up with a really good, exciting performance at home in front of our own fans, which is probably something that we've been guilty of throughout the course of the campaign, is not entertaining our home support enough because of the way that opposition teams come and play against us. They're quite happy to sit in and frustrate us and try and create an air of anxiety about the place, and we haven't probably handled that situation well enough, and I think the points return probably proves that. Our points return on the road has been exceptional, and that's why we're looking forward to the away game on Friday night. It should be a great atmosphere. We enjoy playing in the Friday night football live on the telly as well. Another good opportunity for this group of players to go and show not just the people at the game in the stadium, but also the people watching live on the telly what good players they are.
And just finally for myself, how's the team used looking for Friday's game?
Apart from David Wotherspoon, we've got a fully fit group. We took off Louis Moult on Saturday just as a precaution. He had a bit of tightness creeping into his hamstring. We didn't feel there was any need to risk him in the second half. We were quite comfortable at the time, and we had one eye on this game on Friday, given how important a player Louis is. So David Wotherspoon is the only one that will miss the game.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moved into the last quarter of the season where you wanted to be. 8 games to go, 4 at home, 4 away. Probably importantly against Partick and Raith at home coming along. How do you see these final 8 games going along for the team, and how do you keep the team going to get them over the line on May the 3rd?
Well, we've set ourselves a points target in each quarter, and we're ahead of what that target is right now. I think we're only 5 or 6 points off of what Dundee actually won the league with last year. I think that shows you how competitive the league has been, how well Raith Rovers have done as well to maintain the pace. And we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. It's as simple as that. We had a meeting a couple of weeks ago speaking about how we're doing enough at the moment, but how do we squeeze that little bit more out of each other individually, and for me as manager, how do I squeeze that bit more out of the group, and whether that's the staff or the players. But collectively, let's not be satisfied with what we've done up to now. I still think the team can improve. We've got a very young squad as well. I know we've got some good senior players in amongst it, but we've got a lot of young players that I think have got still room for improvement. And how do we continue to try keep pushing that bar? We're not thinking about the next 8 games, we're just thinking about the next one, and the next one is Dunfermline. Very difficult fixture away from home. Law of averages would say that Dunfermline are going to turn the corner at some point. They've got too good a squad not to, and we just need to make sure that it's not against us on Friday.
The coverage that the Championship gets on the television now is far better than it's probably ever been. You've had the opportunity this week to see 3 of your rivals, Partick Thistle, Raith and Greenock Morton, all play on the television, to be able to look at it from that. Do you feel that gives you some sort of, rather than having to go to the games to see these sometimes, the advantage of being able just to sit with a group of people and analyse these and have the recordings there now?
I think the league as a whole has been probably the most competitive that it's been for a hell of a long time. There are some very good experienced managers at certain teams now as well. I think you only need to look at Callum Davidson coming in and taking the Queen's Park job on. A manager that a couple of years ago won the Cup double and had great success with St Johnstone in the Premier League. Jim McIntyre is now back involved at Arbroath again. Jim has managed in the Premier League. So there are some very good experienced managers. There's also some very good young coaches in the league that I think deserve a lot of credit. I love the job that Rhys McCabe has done at Airdrie. Always had difficult fixtures against them. So I think every week, regardless of what team you're facing, it's always a different style of play, and you've got to really continue to analyse the opposition and be prepared for every scenario. And I suppose that's probably been the most difficult thing, is that from one week to the next you've got to make little tweaks to your own tactics, to your own system and to your own personnel to try and counter what the opposition are going to do. But we always try and keep the main focus on ourselves and what we can do. And I think defensively this season we've been excellent. We've got a really good shape and a good organisation to the team. You only need to look at the goals against column for that. We haven't lost a lot of games, and we've scored a hell of a lot of goals this season, and that's what we need to do between now and the end of the season. And come the 3rd of May, that's when the medals will be handed out, and whoever finishes top of the table at that point, that's where they'll deserve to be. And fingers crossed we do enough between now and then to make sure it's us.
So Friday night you're up against a young manager with Premier League experience, with fresh ideas. How are you going to tackle the game on Friday?
Well, we're going to attack it in a positive mindset. We're going into the game high in confidence, as I said, with a bit of momentum behind us, given the last 3 results last week. And a lot of our key players are hitting form at the right time as well. The front players in particular, Multi scoring goals, Tony Watt scoring goals. Alex Grieve came on for the second 45 on Saturday, and I thought he was the best player on the pitch in the second half. Scored, set one up for Tony, and probably could have had another one himself as well. Defensively, I always feel confident, in Jack Walton and the back 4. And I think collectively as a group, I don't like to focus on individuals, but I think collectively as a group, whatever 11 we go with, I'm always confident that we've got enough within the ranks to go and get the job done. And you can look at the bench there on Saturday against Arbroath and the amount of positive substitutions that we can make as well when there's that little bit of fatigue setting in. So we're in a great place right now. We're not getting too far ahead of ourselves. As I said to you, we're just focusing on each game as it comes. And Dunfermline Friday night is a really, really important fixture, and one that we have to make sure that we go and get maximum points in.
Looking at the game when Alex Grieve came on, desperate for his first goal for Dundee United, what does it tell you about the quality of the player that instead of going for the goal, he just put it on a plate for Tony Watt? What does that tell you about that type of player?
Well, it's the culture that we're trying to build here at Dundee United. We don't care about individual honours. It's not about anybody individually getting all the praise. It's always been a collective effort, whether it's from the staff or the players, and there's a hell of a lot of staff out with our group that do a lot of hard work as well, and there's been a lot of hard work done from the disappointment of last season to put us in a good place this season. I think recruitment wise, it's always been something that has been big in terms of, yes, we want to identify good quality players, but we're all about the individual and the characteristics of that person to make sure that they come and fit into what we're trying to do here. And I think Alex Grieve summed that up in the second half. Really unselfish. And I singled him out after the game in the dressing room, and all the players, they were the first ones to go and celebrate with Alex. More probably went to Alex than they did to Tony, which I think shows you the appreciation that his teammates had for him, because that was a real crucial moment in the game. The third goal was massive at 2-0. Arbroath were still very much in it, and most strikers probably may have taken that one on and tried to score from a tight angle. Alex had the awareness to know that Tony was in a better position than him, and that was massive for us, and just shows you the team spirit and the togetherness that we've got within the group.
Liam, first of all, obviously 4-0 win against Arbroath last time out. Just how do you reflect on that one?
Yeah, I think it was a good performance from us and a good result in the end. We've obviously done play well against Arbroath this season, and we managed to continue that last weekend. So it was a great result, but that's gone now. So we're looking at what's to come.
And just like you mentioned, Dunfermline next up this Friday. What are your thoughts ahead of that one?
Yeah, well, we've played Dunfermline I think maybe 4 times now, including once in Cup, and apart from that Cup game, they've all been really tight games. So I think we'll have to be on our best. We'll have to be on our A game to be able to compete with them and get a good result.
And just like you mentioned, what are you expecting from Dunfermline on Friday?
Well, I think from whenever we've played them, like I just said there, they've always been very close games. They're a very competitive team. I think they've struggled maybe with injuries a bit this season, but I think they've got a few back now, and I think they've done well because of they were only promoted last season, and sometimes it can take a while to find your feet in a stronger division. But I think they've had a good season.
And I suppose just how you and the rest of the squad feel. It's been a pretty hectic schedule the last few weeks. Games feeling like almost constant, I suppose.
Yeah, it's been busy the last few weeks. Probably slightly different to what we usually get in Scotland, really. In England, that Saturday, Tuesday, sort of monotonous schedules, a regular thing. But in Scotland, it's not. But last few weeks, we obviously ended up with quite a few games in a short space of time. But on the whole, I think we've come out with half decent results, and we're still in the position we want to be. So, yeah, I think overall, I think it was quite a successful couple of weeks.
And obviously this Dunfermline game being Friday night under lights on the TV, those would be the kind of games as a player that you can have just relish being a part of.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're if you ask any lad who's playing in that, you want to be involved in big games, and I suppose when it's on telly and under floodlights, it always adds a bit of an extra spice to it, really. So these are games now that anyone, like I said there, anyone who's a professional wants to play, and we're going for the league title, and it's a close race with us and Rafe. So yeah, I think that'll definitely be the case.
Great, thank you very much.
Sitting top of the league, where you want to be, is it frustrating that you just can't shake Raith the Rovers off?
No, I think it's just a fact of sport and a fact of life, really. Every team, whoever you come up against, whether it's Raith or whoever, everyone's trying. It's 11 lads who are all fit, they're all training day after day, trying to improve like we are. And Raith have had a brilliant season, and full credit to them. So it's up to us to do business, and after the next 8 games, we'll see who's been best team. Because that's what a season's all about. It's about finding out who's strongest over a full season.
The season's been very mixed for all the teams. I mean, Raith Rovers have been beaten and drawn against Arbroath. United haven't conceded a goal against Arbroath. Dunfermline's been a bit tricky for United, but Raith seem to. So it's one of these ones where you can't really count anything, because anybody can win anything.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree, and I think it's very similar even in League Above, from my experience playing at SPL. There's very little in League, apart from maybe one or two teams, that this season it's been us and Raith where, more often than not we have got a positive result. I think there's so little in the league, and on any given day anyone can beat anyone. So that's why you've got to, turn up and try and be at your best every week and not take anything for granted.
Well, what are you looking forward to most on Friday night when you run out onto that pitch under the floodlights in Dunfermline?
I just think it's just another opportunity, isn't it? Like a very lucky job that we do, to be able to have these opportunities, playing in front of good crowds, and when there's something at stake as well in terms of like getting promoted, it's another massive thing really for everyone involved. So I just think we're lucky to be able to do the job that we do, and hopefully we can do ourselves justice.
Do you think it's a positive thing playing on the Friday night, so you're 24 hours before Raith play, or do you think it's not so advantageous to?
I don't think it really matters. I mean, if you win, obviously it's, I suppose, a bit of added pressure on Raith, but Raith have shown over this year that they're capable of handling that like they did last night. They had a game in hand on us there, but it only matters if you win a game in hand, you know what I mean? So I don't think it really matters. I think, ideally, we want to get 3 points and put Raith under a bit of pressure, but it is what it is. Like I said before, at the end of the season, that's when we'll truly find out who's been best team.
We spoke when you signed for the club way back at the start of the season. Sun was shining at St Andrews that day, shining again today. So a lot of popular things that are happening there. But I mean, at that time you were enthusiastic about the challenge that was coming your way. Now that we're nearing the end of the season, how has that challenge been fulfilled by yourself, and how have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I think you bang on. Yeah, I mean, like, the reason I signed up here was to to come up here and challenge and win league, and we're still banging it now where we want to be. So it's been exactly as I expected, really. I mean, never really played in a side that's played in. When I played at Motherwell, we got to 2 cup finals, but cup football's maybe slightly different. You can get a bit of momentum and stuff like that, but when you want to go and try and win a league, you've got to do it week after week, and I think that's why winning a league's probably sometimes a bit more impressive, than winning winning a cup maybe or whatever. So it is like relentless, really. You know, every week you're expected to win, and you know, I think we've stood up to that well. Obviously, we've had blips and that, but every team, wherever you look in Wales, you know, they all have a blip, unless they're perfect, and no one is. So, yeah. So I think, yeah, from our point of view, I've really enjoyed it, and just thought we can, you know, finish it off.